Hey, good morning. It's your boy Lawrence Cain Jr. Another edition of Money Mondays. Hope you had a great Mother's Day weekend. Hope you ready to rock and roll with another great week. Today I want to touch on the prerequisites, if you will, for moving out of the house, right? So a lot of us come from that generation where we turn 18, we graduate, and we like, I want to get out the house. I need my own space. I want to be grown, etc., etc. So I want to talk about going into the next phase, right? For our kids, what do we want to make sure they leave the house with, right? Not just them having a job and now you can provide for yourself, but there are some things that they need to have in place, and we have to demand them to have these things in place in order to move out, whether they go to college or go right into working when they graduate. They need to do these things. So the first one is they need to establish their credit, right? So if your child is over the age of 16, you need to already be working on it. But if they're not 18 yet, what you need to do is make sure your credit is in order. And then when they turn 16, you want to add them as an authorized user on your credit card. That's going to start their credit, and then you make sure that you are smart with how you manage your credit, so they don't start off bad. So that's the very first thing we should do, right? And make sure that before they leave the house, they have established credit. The second thing, we want to make sure they have a skill, right? So we don't focus on job security in 2017, right? That's back in the past, 20, 30 years ago. Job security was something that actually existed when you can work for a company for 30, 40 years and retire with a pension. A lot of companies don't even have pensions anymore. And we want to make sure that our kids, before they leave the house, they have a skill to be able to pay bills. Not just have a job. Having a job is different than having a skill, because you can get fired from a job. But if you have skills, you can always make money. So instead of focusing on job security, make sure they have a skill that can provide income security, right? That's the second thing. The third thing they need to make sure they have is proper bank accounts, right? We need to make sure that their checking account, they're understanding how to pay bills, right? On time, and make sure that they have at least $5,000 in their savings account, right? That's very important, because a lot of times we move out, we don't have any type of cushion, we don't have any way to really fall back on other than moving back home if something happens. So we want to make sure they have $5,000 in their savings. The next thing that they need to have is they need to have an apartment furnished. And what I mean by that is they buy these items, the couch and love seat set, the bedroom set. They buy those things, and what they do, instead of storing them in your house, they just buy storage, and that way they can understand how to pay bills and get those things in place before they go out. We don't need to be going to rent-a-center. We don't need to be financing anything. We don't need to finance anything, right? If we make them buy it piece by piece before they move out, then they don't have to worry about it. They can move in comfortably and don't have to worry about on interest on things that they should already have. So that's another thing. And then finally, what they really need to have, and this is very important, they need to have a mentor. It's important that we get back to having mentors. A lot of us came under the Boys and Girls Club, the Big Brother programs, and just idolizing people, right? And so we got to make sure they have a mentor that they admire and they can strive towards, right? For me, I have about 3 or 4 mentors that they do things that I wish I could do. They get contracts that I wish I could get right now. So I'm around them, and I try to contact them. I try to support them, and in turn, they support me. So, we want to make sure that our kids are being around people that can elevate their mind, elevate their talents, and ultimately elevate their bank account. So remember, if watch this again and really listen, because what if our parents did this to us and for us, where we left the house with money in the bank, we left the house fully furnished apartment already, we left the house great credit already, and we can then do those things that we want to do now, right? Get into houses, getting newer cars and better cars instead of, settling for less because of what our credit score is and what our debt to income ratio is right now. So we need to really focus on the next generation, right? It's good to get, to work on our things ourselves and as adults, but we have to set a new standard for the next generation. That way, they can be more effective than we ever was at the age of 21, 22. So again, this is Lawrence Cain Jr., Money Mondays. Remember, financial success, it happens on purpose. God bless.